Chapter 4. 'Twas the night before Christmas, Sammy began, and all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Charles jumped in right with the next line. He knew that one for sure. Charles had came up with the brilliant idea of memorizing the night before Christmas to perform at the nest on Christmas Eve. It was a classic poem. Everybody had heard it a million times. Memorize it is definitely a breeze. Especially Pete and Sammy did it together, taking turns on each line. That way, Charles will only have to memorize half the poem. Even better, he would really only have to perform half of it. Instead of being alone on stage, he would be with his best friend. The whole ordeal would be over in 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, got an itchy ear. They were practicing in the Peterson's band on their way over to the nest. It was Wednesday, time for the scouts' first visit to help out dinner. Charles was a little nervous about the meeting. Then a whole bunch of new people. He would have to recite any poems tonight. Dad was driving the band. Following them in the Petersons' red pickup truck were Mom, Lizzie, Maggie, and Max. The band was at home with Steffi, his favorite babysitter, who always brought him dog biscuits, which was really just bone-shaped oatmeal cookies for a treat. Charles knew that the kids' nest were going to love that cuddly puppy and funny kitten. He almost felt a bit jealous, thinking about other kids getting to play with his foster pets, but he and Mom had talked. About it a lot. How happy it would make the kids at the shelter. How Maggie and Max would enjoy meeting new people. And how it was good for the animals to get used to new places. Charles knew that was all true, but still, in a way, he was glad he would be busy serving and cleaning up dinner so he wouldn't have to watch Maggie lick some other kid's cheek or see Max climb up onto somebody else's shoulders. Charles felt something jump in his ribs. It was Sammy's elbow. "Come on, Charles, come on," Sammy said. "Do your line." He repeated his own. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, hoping that Santa would come. Charles then totally forgot what went. "Through the air?" "Air?" he asked, scratching his head. Sammy shook his head with disgust. "Ew, no! It's with that hope St. Nicholas would soon be there," he proclaimed. "Oh, right." Charles was beginning to realize he did not actually like this poem so much. It's such a classic. Who went around calling Santa Claus St. Nicholas? "It's his nickname. Why do you think some folks call him St. Nicholas?" Dumb. We're here," he said, changing the subject. Dad had just pulled up of a big yellow house, big enough to fit 2 of the Petersons' houses inside. Inside a wooden sign near the front door said, "Welcome to the nest." The porch was decorated with Christmas lights and a huge wreath. Before Charles could even knock on the door, it opened wide. There was Mr. Baker, smiling down at the scouts and laughing his big laugh as he bellowed, "Welcome! Welcome!" and waved them all inside. Charles couldn't help but noticing Mr. Baker's big tummy kind of jiggled when he laughed, like a bowl full of jelly. Charles was served remembering a scrap of the poem he was trying to learn. That's who Mr. Baker reminded him, of course. Santa Claus! You're just in time, said Mr. Baker as the scouts came in. The meatballs are simmering. When the spaghetti's nearly done and my homemade garlic bread is cooking in the oven. It's baking in the... Charles took in a big sniff. His mouth started to water. The smell of tomato sauce always made him hungry. Oh, and here are our furry friends. He smiled and waved at Mom and Lizzie, who were coming up the walk. Mom was carrying Max, wrapped in her favorite red wool scarf, and Maddie padded along next to Lizzie, showing off how well she walked on the lunch. Mr. Baker laughed some more and clapped his hands at the delightful animals. Wonderful! He crowed. These two were gonna be a huge hit. Mr. Baker then turned to a gray-haired woman who was sitting in the reception decks inside. Miranda, will you show Lizzie and the animals to the rec room? Gladly, said Miranda. Aren't they adorable? I just love cats, but unfortunately I can't live with one. Well, because I'm allergic. Charles wanted to give Maggie and Max one last pat on the head, but before he knew it, Miranda swept Lizzie, Max, and Maggie down the hallway, talking all the time. Mr. Baker gave the scouts a quick tour of the nest. Here are the offices. This is the homework room. Here's the storage area where we keep extra clothing and blanket and things, which are what some families need when they come to stay with us. He then pointed to a long hallway. And down that room are the rooms where families sleep and live. And down here, he said, leaning to a hall, is where we all have dinner. He threw two big doors. And Charles saw a big dining room, more like a restaurant than a cafeteria. The tomato sauce smell was even stronger. People were sitting at the tables, moms, dads, and kids of all ages. Mr. Baker waved it to the families as he let the scouts inside. Come meet the guy in charge of all of this, he said. He approached the man stirring a huge pot of sauce. Here are your helpers for tonight, he announced. Scouts, meet Danny. Danny, meet the scouts. Oh, excellent! I could always use some help. Danny gave the scouts a big smile. Welcome aboard! Charles liked Danny right away. He looked like a basketball player. He was tall and skinny and strong. Danny tossed each scout a white papered chef's hat like his own. All right, gentlemen, he said. It's time to man your stations! Charles thought it would be cool to sit on the other side of his cafeteria line. At school, he slid his tray along and let the lunch helper serve him. Now he was going to be the server. Each scout would be dishing out a different part of the meal. Charles was excited when Danny assigned him and Sammy to the best spot of all, the meatball station. I'm glad it's not green beans, Sammy whispered. I hate green beans. Yuck! Charles liked green beans okay, but he definitely liked meatballs better. He was realizing that he should have eaten dinner before he came. The delicious smells were making him so hungry that he could hardly stand it. But he forgot about being hungry once when he started serving 2 meatballs to a customer for starters. Danny directed. We might just have enough time. We don't know until everyone's been served. It felt so good to be serving people food. Charles noticed that everyone smiled when they saw the meatballs. Or when he or Sammy carefully balanced them on top of the mountain spaghetti sauce that the scouts before had served, people said thank you, like they really meant it. Only one person didn't want any meatballs. I'm a vegetarian, said a little girl about Charles' age. I don't eat meat, but thanks anyways. Charles split her meatballs between the girl's mom and little brother. Finally, everyone had been served. The dining room was full of the sound of clinking forks and happy chatter. Charles noticed that several children finished quickly and had to be asked to be excused and left the room. He guessed where they were headed. I bet those cute animals have already gotten lots of attention and love already. Then he appeared behind Charles with another pan of meatballs, as if he was reading Charles' mind. I heard about the kitten and puppy you would brought to visit. Said, can't wait to meet them myself. I sure would love to have a dog, but they don't allow pets where I live. 15 minutes later, after Charles and Sammy had served a few latecomers, Danny came over again. Oh, good job, guys. I bet you're ready for some dinner yourself. Go ahead, grab some chow. You deserve it. I'll join you in the dining room in a minute. Charles had dug his fork into the biggest, juiciest, yummiest looking meatball he'd ever seen when Lizzie appeared at the door of the dining room. Charles saw that Maggie was with her, but where was Max? A little boy, the brother of the vegetarian girl, was helping to hold Maggie with leash. Maggie was whining, and Charles thought she looked, well, worried was the only word for it. Oh no! Mom! Dad! Max is missing! Lizzie called.